Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Of course, we will be talking Ledger once again for the last time, in fact, because we saw the matchbook betting exchange Irish St. Ledger come to a thrilling conclusion at Limerick on Saturday night. I'm joined as always by the exiled dub Tommy Lyons and a special guest, Alan Troy, the Greyhound correspondent for Clare FM. Alan, firstly, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Ian. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for asking me.
It's good to have you on, especially after the final. It's easy to talk about good dogs after the fact.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. And again, that maestro Liam Dowling came up with trumps again on Ledger night. It was only 2 years ago, wasn't it? Ballymac Merlin brought it back to Kerry. So again, a great man when it comes to finals. And again, dear Jet Sydney, you know, he nearly did the Derby Ledger double, which would have been something very significant. But the race really was at the third bend where Merlin made his breakthrough. He got in the inside, so that's where the race really was won. So, and again, Priceless Jet ran a gallant third as well. He wasn't far off them, but by all accounts, like your guest last week, I think Mike Flaherty was hoping for a Kerry win, so he must be happy with
yeah. Michael skipper on the golf course today, I'm sure, down in Waterville. He's some man for the golf. Tommy Lyons, we had a great Ledger from start to finish. I'm eating humble pie. I didn't quite say that Ballymac Merlin had no chance, but I definitely suggested he'd be the last dog in the race I'd be backing. I just couldn't see him clearing the inside trio. And not only did he cleared them with a little bit, to spare. Jet Sydney got to the front. He stayed nice and middle into the corner, went round second. And then it was race on. And it was a thrilling conclusion to what's been a wonderful competition.
It was. And it was a terrific performance because, like you're saying, you're eating a humble pie, but it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to tally the semi-final with the final. When Jet Sydney came from behind Ballymac Merlin in the semi-final, I thought Ballymac Merlin had a great draw in the semi-final, could turn close to Russian Doherty if not in front of him, and might win the race. He turned second, and Jet Sydney effectively, to some degree, outpaced him. And then you get to the final, and it's an exact reverse. Jet Sydney leads, and you're thinking, well, this is all over. The next thing, Ballymac Merlin shows this unbelievable turn of pace down to the third bend to take over along the inside, and that was the winning of the race. I mean, it's like an entire reverse. I saw like I tipped up Ballymac Merlin after the quarter final, but last week I said I felt that my bet was gone. Forget about it. Like at that stage, it's keep your fingers crossed and hope that you pick something up, maybe get a bit of a place out of it. I effectively thought I made a mistake that the draw, like you, the draw was so difficult for him. Things had to happen right. And let's be fair, they didn't exactly happen right. You don't like if you're thinking maybe that Russian Doherty.
If you pause it off the second bend, you're fancying Jet Sydney all day long.
100%, absolute 100%. Like you don't think. I know he does move a little bit middle down the back. You don't think there's going to be a dog there that's going to exploit that little bit of space he gives up the inside, because once he gets back onto the rails at the third bend, he doesn't leave them. He literally scrapes the paint off them all the way home from there once he gets back onto the rails. So you've only got a very small window, and it's like it's the difference in winning and losing a classic is exploiting that little window, and that's what good dogs do. So like I have no qualms about the result, because I think Ballymac Merlin is a seriously good dog who finishes off a really, really good renewal of the Ledger. So it's a very satisfactory result in many ways. But if you're tying what I mean, there's no point in me being here unless I'm trying to I'm trying to tally form to some degree, and sometimes it can sound like I'm being harsh on greyhounds. But like I went from fancying that Ballymac Merlin was well overpriced going into the semi-final to thinking that I couldn't win the final, a bit like you. But he is a good enough dog. He was a finalist in the Kirby. Liam Dowling, we don't need to talk about Liam Dowling in finals or in any competition. He's well capable. You know, if he gets from there, to turn up in the very best of form. The same goes, in fairness, to Pat Buckley, who had the runner-up in cherry ripe form. He's like, I think we were a little bit. I think I was right about this, but I want to make too big a deal of it. But I do think that I've said all along, I was quite consistent about it, that Jet Sydney just isn't like. It's a while since he won the English Derby. He's not quite at that level. And when he turned the front in and the Ledgers won in 29.68, shouldn't he be winning it?
Yeah, inexplicably, I think the race was lost just off the second bend. Inexplicably, Jet Sydney moves off the fence. I've never seen him do it before. I don't know if I'll ever see him doing it again. He drifts off the second bend, and all of a sudden the gap is there, and Merlin absolutely let's go through this gap. But Dearjet Sydney, Pat Buckley did what he had to do with him. He got him out of the boxes. He leads around the opening corner, and just for that strangest, it was a strange moment almost. You're going, where are you going? Because this dog never moves off the fence. Alan, we saw him turning for home, and Dearjet Sydney is literally scraping the paint off the rails.
Like Dearjet. After the second bend, you thought, well, it's all over, basically, with a dog of his quality. But again, as they were coming towards the third bend, it's where Merlin exploited that. Just there was a gap there, and he exploited it and took it from there. But you'd wonder if Dearjet was more scraping the rails at that position, would Merlin have got his opportunity there? But he just sign of an intelligent dog. He just kept going and then took his chance there and then moved on. So look, it's small margins that can win and lose, and that's at that bend there where coming towards the side of the rails, like that's a wonder race in my opinion. Anyway, looking at it last night, but look, two quality dogs, and it was a great finish to it as well. And again, Priceless Jet gave it to them as well. He left nothing in defeat. He wasn't far off them, and it looks like, look, with Ballymac Merlin being a finalist in the Kirby, he's another great dog for next year now for Liam Dowling. Which I suppose the Ladbroke 600 in Shelbourne will be up his forte as well now going forward, and yeah.
Yeah, good performance. No question about that. Just looking at the rest of them, Tommy, I suppose the race took shape at boxes with Rushing Glory and Park Blake, missing the kick and then sort of just getting each other's way a little bit. It left the gap for Dearjet Sydney to get across to the fence, and Westmead Merlin, Ballymac Merlin going around second again. On the outside, Price's Jet went up strongly, led all for the best, who never really got involved in the contest. But Rushing Glory and Park Blake. Graham Holland has had mixed luck in the Ledger final through the years. He had 4 finalists one year. I remember the year the Blast Off dog won it, and without luck, and he has won it in the past. But it's one of those finals where he just needs to probably break his duck at some point, and he looked like he was going to do it this year.
Small bit peculiar the start of this, because there was a similarity to the semi-final in that, a different dog, the inside dog seemed to be pawing at traps and trying to rush it a bit, and that was hard to guess that would happen. Yes, we had a small bit of concern about Park Blake, because if it happens once with a dog, that something goes wrong, even if it's another dog's fault, that kind of brings it on, that they can remember it, or they can be a bit cautious the next time they're in traps. But this time was Rushing Blake, who I thought you could set your clock by. You really, we thought, whatever about Park Blake, I was tipping Park Blake on the basis that I thought he had the most ability in the race and the potential, and he was a fresh dog, a young dog coming through. Whereas Rushing Glory, you could just every week seem to be the same thing, and I was expecting the same thing again on Saturday night, and it just didn't happen. Now the market was interesting. There was 2 things about it. It was interesting because Rushing Glory and Park Blake were both quite weak. They drifted out to 9-4 and 5-2. They returned. Price's Jet was strong, very strong.
Very strong. He ended up being 9-2 chance or something like that, didn't he?
4-1 he returned on, according to the website.
Yeah.
The winner was an 8-1 chance, which was probably about right. Just he certainly wasn't a 5-1 chance. Dearjet Sydney was 5-1. That was fair enough, I think. I mean, he had classic credentials. It was a fascinating market, and you know what? From top to bottom, they went 9-4 to only to 8-1. I would have thought there might have been slightly bigger price dogs in the race itself. But there was one other thing that I thought was interesting, and this might be nothing, but it's a fellow I respect his opinion of. And I was chatting to him during the week, and he said he went down. He's been there for all the rounds of the competition, and he said that he went down after the semi-final, and he just thought that Park Blake looked tired coming off. It would be entirely understandable, because
after the run he produced in the semi-final, I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
No, that's exactly it. He's after doing a huge run in the previous round, and then he came to this, and things went wrong for him, and he showed immense pace and ability just to qualify. He literally ran his heart out. He gave everything to qualify for the final, and perhaps there was a small bit of that in it, maybe that it was just one race too far at this stage of his career, and maybe that's what it was. The 2 previous runs had left a bit of a mark on it. Particularly, the effort to get through to the final was as big as his 29-24 run, wasn't it?
It was an unbelievable run. He enhanced his reputation in defeat in the semi-finals. Yeah. No question about it. Alan, from a local point of view, was this ledger well received down that part of the world?
Oh yeah, it's always a big part of the Clare contingent involved in greyhounds. The ledger is always taken with great interest.
You have to mute yourself there, Alan.
I think Pat Hogan won it again with Storm Villa as well. I think it was 1984, and the dog's name escapes me now, but I think he. You
have to mute yourself again there, Alan. We'll come back to Alan, Tommy.
People let me say that me should be muting myself.
Yeah, perhaps. And there's a few people at home wishing you can mute you too. Looking through the rest of them, Price's Jet, he did what he had to do, Tommy. He got there. He was close enough. Just you're not going to be picking up the likes of Dearjet Sydney and Ballymac Merlin when they get around in front. But Paul Hennessy, I suppose the best way that Kevin Hennessy described it on Saturday night on Racing Post Television when he was interviewed, he said he feels like Bryson DeChambeau here with these types of dogs, because you just come and you take a swing at it. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what they've done with Price's Jet through his career. Limerick's been kind to him. He's a fast greyhound. He's after winning a classic already this year in the Corn Cullen. Again, did them proud.
Of course he did, and he's the type of dog that we've expressed a bit of frustration with down through the last couple of years. But what we do like about these dogs is they have that ability, and sometimes you can just pick them on the night when you think everything is going to go right for them, and you can back them at a big price. You took a chance on him outright at each way at a big price, and you got a return from it. He's just that type of dog, isn't he? He's hard to knock out of the frame.
And of course, he's the brother to last year's winner. You know what I mean? There's something about the Limerick air down there I think really suits him. All for the best, of course, is Liam Dowling breeding. Bought out of Liam Dowling's kennel. All for the best. He ran so tremendously well through the rounds. It just didn't happen for him the other evening, but I'm sure Liam would have preferred the result the way it was, with Ballymac Merlin winning it rather than All for the best. Where to now for Ballymac Merlin, Tommy?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually don't know, but I was going to say about All for the best, Ian, sorry, that even though he didn't get involved in the race again, at the end of the race, he wasn't as far back as you think. If you know what I mean. For while you're watching the race live, you think, well, he's definitely not going to be competitive here. He's absolutely, as he always does, he's flying home. So he's obviously going to step up and trip and be a real force over longer trips again, as he was already.
You assume we'll see him this weekend. I'd say the 600 yard race has his name stamped all over it.
I'd be deeply disappointed if we didn't, because he's a seriously fast dog, and he's like, okay, he's around a bit longer, but he's definitely on an upward curve as well. I mean, he did nothing but enhance his profile all the way through the competition. Like, he's a seriously fast dog. Ballymac Merlin, I don't know where he goes. You tell me.
I'm sure they'll toy with the idea of running him on Saturday night. I'd say the Kingdom Derby would probably be his next target after that. Obviously, they'd like to win it again. That's the sort of dog he is. I'm not sure. Like, I think 550 probably is his trip. But again, he is a dog that's not what you call exceptionally blessed with early speed, but he really hammers down that back straight, as we saw the other evening.
He's not exceptionally strong either, is he?
No, but again, the other night he's still well in front into the escape. Do you know that sort of way? And Dearjet City's trying to get up his inside, but he's still there. He probably is a dog that's strengthened up. He's probably had those few races now. He's had a little bit of an interrupted sort of year. You heard Shane Dowling the other night suggesting that he had picked up a couple of niggles after the likes of the Kirby, and maybe it was the Race of Champions down in Tralee, of course, where he was so impressive in the semi-finals. But no, that was only his fourth win the other evening. It's hard to believe a dog of that ability has only won 4 races, but listen, he's after winning the night that counts in the Ledger final.
I don't think they'll worry too much about it.
No, certainly not.
He had, in fairness, this was his best performance, because, as I said to you, it was like the reverse of the semi-final, where he went from in front of Dearjet Sydney to behind him. And this time, that little small gap, and he exploited it. And that takes a seriously special talent to do that. Maybe it was fortunate that the gap was there at the time when he is at his best, in my opinion, in the middle of a race, down the back. Or maybe that back straight pace he has is ridiculously good. If it had been Park Blake in front of him, I don't think he got there, maybe. But it wasn't. And
Alan, you suggested earlier about Liam Downing's record in finals. His record full stop is just unbelievable. This is yet another classic winner from his stable that has been born, reared, bred. You know, he's never taken a step outside of Liam Downing's. He's been there all his life. It's some record.
It's ridiculous. It really is. It really is. But we've come to expect it. You know, I mean, we don't even talk about it as much anymore because you kind of expect it from Liam's dogs. The whole final was fascinating. It really was. Even if I asked you to tell me now without looking, maybe you do know it, I hope you don't, and then you might guess. Like what section do you think Deirdre Sidney did relative to the rest of the competition?
I'd say he did a 5:42. I'd say there was 5:20s in the competition.
No, his best sectional. He did a 2:89 early sectional, which was his second worst in the competition.
Yeah. Yeah, but when the inside two runners are missing the kick, all of a sudden it makes you look like you're flying up.
No. I know it does, and maybe he accelerated into the bend, and the sectional to the first bend was a bit better. But what I'm saying is that he didn't have to fly out of traps to lead that final, which was peculiar, which was very peculiar, to be honest about it. But hey, you know, it was a fascinating final, which is what you want, as well as a good final. And you know, if you get a dog that pops out and wins by 10 lengths, we hail him a superstar. But that's actually a fantastic. There was a lot of aspects to the final that were enjoyable.
Yeah, Alan, I was just saying there about the breeding, and you know, Liam Dowling just does it over and over and over again. We saw Shane Dowling talking so well about the dog after the race. You know, not only was he bred at home, but the sire Vulturi was bred at home. You know, he is a Liam Dowling inmate as well. It's just unbelievable what they're achieving over and over and over again.
It's like it's everyone's dream, I'd say, involved in greyhounds, to see, you know, what they're doing down there with homebred and stud dogs and brood bitches, and not alone on the track front and the field front as well, up the course and field. What they've achieved down through the last few years is phenomenal. And you go back then to Ballymac Rule, what he did in the track there during the summer as well was brilliant.
As a coursing bred, of course, yeah.
Yeah, like, and he was setting the track alight. It's a 10 races in a row he won, or something.
Yeah,
to that
I think it's 10 or 11 anyway.
It's just it's training phenomenon. That's what it is. But they're blessed. There's it's a family effort down there. I know Liam's sister is brilliant with the dogs as well, and Shane. You know, it's something you really have to admire. You know, and it's hard work, dedication, and perseverance. And I know down through the years there were times where success might, they didn't succeed where they might have, but you just keep going at it and look at where the fruits of it are benefit the last few years, where it's just at another level. You
often hear Aidan O'Brien talking about the lads, you know, everyone at home, everyone's rowing in the same direction. They're all with the same goal. And it seems to be the same with the Dowlings down there. Big team operation, as you said. Like Shane said the other night, that his sister had to hop in the van and bring the dogs to Shelbourne Park. You know, you know, it's just your casual 3.5 hour journey up the road, you know, and they do this week in, week out, and they're seeing the results, which are thoroughly deserved.
Oh, definitely. It's like, I think Ballymac Bevulter or something won in Shelbourne there on Saturday night. So, like, again, from Tralee to as you said, it's 3 hours or whatever up to Dublin and back again, and it's a professional outfit, and the professionalism is coming to fruit with the results, and again what they've achieved through stud dogs. You know, Ballymac Best, he didn't set the track alight, but look at what he's achieving as a stud dog. You know, it's phenomenal. Again, through track and field, he's a dual purpose sire. And go back to Vulturi, again, he's out of Westmeath Hawk, and you were debating whether Ballymac Merlin might stay over the 550, but looking at the breeding in him, it's the older he gets, the Westmeath Hawk might come into him, and he might, there could be better. He could definitely make the 600 going forward and all that. So yeah, and again you have there's a lovely new dog, Ballymac. I know Ballymac Bulger is doing very well as stud, but Ballymac Cash Out, he's a dog now that really interests me, out of Droopy Sydney, and I think he looks like a dog now. Obviously he will get a good breeding opportunity with Liam and his bitches, but I think he's a dog now that should be watched in the future. I think with Droopy Sydney there, he has a great chance to make it a stud as well.
Yeah, Tommy, just when you hear Alan naming off some of the dogs there, it's not something you think about, but by all accounts, the Downies are going nowhere, because we know they have the brood bitches, they have more coming through, and then you throw in the likes of Ballymac Best and Ballymac Cash Out and Ballymac Anton, and soon I'm sure Ballymac Wild and the likes. We're going to see an awful lot more Ballymacs in the coming years.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. There'll definitely be plenty from Ballymac anyway. It is, but it's like you said, when you hear Shane talking about all the people involved, and it has to be like, but they've got a huge operation down there, because you've got all those different facets of the sport all in the one kennel. It's like, it takes extreme dedication and knowledge. It really does. Like, they're producing dogs at the top of their game week in, week out, and that is difficult, and they're dependent on us. Like, you have to make sales, and you have to win competitions, and you have to have successful stud dogs. Like, you have to, because it's a huge operation. I'm sure the bills are massive on a weekly, monthly basis, and they have to be, something has to happen to pay for all the staff that they have, and to keep the whole thing ticking over and improving, because it's just getting better. It really is. It's probably not even at its peak yet.
Yeah. Alan, just another thing they've done wisely over the last few years, and there was a view at one point, they keep the best. You look at the dogs they've sold as well. Pistana, Ballymac Beanie, Ballymac Petsy. These stars have emerged that aren't trained by Liam himself. They're not afraid to sell some good ones. You know what I mean? And that keeps their name out there. It keeps them liquid. They can sell on dogs. And I know if I was a man in the UK, shall we say, and I was looking for a good dog, the first place I'd start would be, well, it would certainly be one of the first places you'd look would be the Ballymac men. And by all accounts, there are finals where we look at here even the other night, and there weren't all that many entries from Ballymac, but here we are in the final. We had Ballymac Merlin, the winner, and All for the Best, who was bred down there and sold out of there, and he's in the classic final too. And we're talking about him going back to Shelbourne Park for the Winter Racing Festival and being a star over further. Meanwhile, in Shelbourne Park, as you said, Ballymac Belvolt is winning over 750 yards. There just seems to be domination is the wrong term, because it's not quite a domination, but it's just such a prevalence. They're so good at what they do that everywhere you look, you can see top class Ballymac dogs.
Yeah, and you go back to Ballymac-esque, he was sold, and again, like he was setting the tracks alight, or setting the school, I believe, and he was bought out of the kennels, and then you go back to Ballymac Vic. I think Liam held on to him, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
He
held on to a couple of fast ones, all right. There's no problem with that.
It's like again, it's a business too, and again, if someone comes knocking on the door, he's some great owners there, and that are in the game, and definitely, if someone comes knocking on the door looking for a sapling that's hitting the school and tracks of light, definitely, yeah, it's part of the game as well. As again, Tommy said, the bills have to be paid, and continual improvement is only done to, like, running it as any normal business. Like, it's to make sure that the wheel keeps rolling, and again, it's to train all those dogs. It's such a phenomenal effort. Like, it's hard enough to train 2 dogs for a small, for a trainer and get them right, but to train that volume of dogs and to continually keep on succeeding. And again, if you look at Shelbourne Park every Saturday night, and Cork, there's Ballymacs winning, and again, you go back to Ballymac Beanie was sold out for the Wednesday Oaks. So it's just remarkable.
Yeah, Shane let it out of the bag tonight, Tommy, that this fella had effectively been sold, and I think it was the small little injury to put it back, and he's back in Liam's name, so he could have been winning the ledger still for Liam Dowling, but as a different owner. You talk about all these bills, €30,000 certainly helped to pay a few of them.
Not too bad. It's not too bad. I just what Alan was talking about there, Ballymac-esque. You sometimes forget that, but that brings me back to one of my favourite ever races in Shelbourne Park was the night, the 600 on the Mighty Stars, wasn't it?
Yep, Sparta Maestro. It's funny you mention this, because Sparta Maestro only passed away this weekend, believe it or not. Yeah. I'm about to write it, and it brings you back to that contest, Ballymac-esque versus Sparta Maestro. One of the great contests over one of the great trips, 600 yards at Shelbourne Park.
It really is a brilliant trip, isn't it? Because you've got basically 3 straight lines. You've got the dog's going really hard at it. No excuse. The top dog normally comes out on top. This actually, funny enough, whether it did or didn't that night, it was a brilliant battle. It was a link between them, but there was a couple of points at which Ballymac thought might get through, might not get through, and it just didn't happen from. At the same time, like Spartan Maestro was an exceptional dog. I obviously have a lot of memories of going to Shelbourne and Harold's Cross. That was my favourite race in Shelbourne. Favourite in Harold's Cross was Serene Rumble. I know I'm going off point here, but Serene Rumble in the Grand Prix final. I think he beat a Heavenly dog, did he?
Beg your pardon?
Did he beat a Heavenly dog?
Yeah, he beat one of Johnny Donohue's, the Heavenly prefix.
Yeah, I can't remember
his name. Yeah,
but it was Serene Rumble, but Ballymac and Spartan Mouse. That was like the night of start. I think the night of start. That's the first thing I think of. That was a super. That's probably my favourite race in Shelbourne.
Yeah, ever. Alan. We'll bring it back to Limerick. Tommy's gone off on tangents there. That's the Ledger done and dusted now for another year. Next big competition will be the Kirby. It's hard to fill that gap. You know what I mean? You want to see top class racing every week, but again, with the Kirby, you have two wonderful competitions now at Limerick, and it's all going out to the Kirby.
Oh, without a doubt. And again, it's great credit to JP and Noreen McManus for what they contribute, not alone to every aspect of sport in within the Limerick and Midwest region and beyond. So the Kirby, we won't feel it. There's a lot of people now at home this morning taking their dogs out of the kennels, and that's what they're dreaming of. Will this one be good enough for the Kirby? So it's even to have a dog good enough to run in it is an achievement. So again, the bigger kennels now will be gearing towards it, and you'll have a few of the lads that that have 2 or 3 dogs at home. And again, that's the thing, they're hitting that long track now, and they're hoping that they're doing times that will think of them dreaming of the likes of the Kirby. But it's going to be again, time will fly before we know it. You'll be reporting on it, and it'll be it'll pass the 4 or 5 week period there where there'll be further excitement down in Limerick. So like 2 years ago, it was great to be involved in the Friends of Limerick, where we a group got together and we helped raise money to support the Ledger and keep it going. And to see it now 2 years later, it's great that Matchbook Betting Exchange have come on board, and it just shows that people putting the hand to the wheel and sticking together. It's great to see now the progression after the last 2 years. Well done to Matchbook Betting Exchange. It was brilliant that they're involved in it. So I hope they reap the fruits from it. Yeah,
Tommy, it's a good point made there by Alan. Matchbook did step in. They were treated to a proper classic. When a major sponsor steps into the breach, you want them to get the fruits of their labor to be shown, and they got a tremendous competition in this Ledger.
Oh, they did, and yourself and the Lily White Assassin, as you call them, did plenty of work for it. You know what I mean, promoting it as well, and it is good. And I think things have developed quite a lot. In the sport in the last couple of years, in the sense of the amount of stuff that's getting out there on a daily, weekly basis, certainly, getting out to people in a kind of a more modern fashion than you and I would have done in the past, and maybe I continue to do a little bit of that the old stuff, but it has come a long way, and I think this has been another good example of it, and the fact that Matchbook got involved, which deserves plenty of recognition, and got a kind of a great competition that we couldn't have asked for more. I just hope that they're happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was action on the Matchbook Betting Exchange. Apart from that, they bring the fact that more options. There was betting available on it. There was anti-post betting, and I know sometimes punting is seen as a dirty thing, but we're punters. We all like a bet. Tommy used the opportunity earlier on to basically tell the world that he backed the winner. We didn't miss that one, Tommy. Don't worry about it. What price did you back him at?
14s, but I actually when I backed him at 14s, about 2 days later he was 16s elsewhere, so I felt a little bit dirty, but
surprised you didn't go again.
yeah, like I did with Fair Play. No, it was a hollow victory, as I said, because at the time I thought he was overpriced, but I didn't fancy him in the final, so it was literally close your eyes and hope that he finished in the top 3 from my betting point of view. I took it as a one-off race, and I was trying to break it down as such. The final, didn't fancy him in the final, but he got the job done. So
lovely. Alan, I don't know if were you keeping an eye on the action in Dublin at the weekend?
Yeah, but it was great to see Jennifer O'Donnell winning the puppy stake with Scooby Prince. God, she's had a great year too, and it's great to see the young, like on Saturday night in Limerick. It was great to see Jack Kennelly win the first race to a young trainer with ladies as well, and to see Jennifer, a young lady as well, and it's bred into her between from Francis and Matt and her aunt Laura's route, and she has had great tutorship, and for her now to be winning such a big stake and like that was great, and she's had a great run. Then again, one of my favorites over the last year and a half was Scooby Princess. I just thought every time she went out, she gave it everything, and she was just a remarkable bitch. And
it just so happened she produced some of her best ever performances down at Limerick as well.
Yeah, she did. She was just she was a favorite of mine. I really, you could just see she was one of those with determination, and all you can ask from a dog is to give it her all, and she did every night she went out. So well done to Jennifer. It was great to see that, and just I'll go back to just Limerick there the other night. It was great to see some youngsters in the Epic Hero novice. Owen McKenna looks like he's a really, really good dog in Man Like Tom, and out of Coolivany Jap, which would have kept her. There's a great woman in Limerick track there, Corona Ryan, who would have bred him, so she'd be beaming after one of his prodigy performing so well in 28:34. And on the night in as well, the great legend of Limerick track, Dennis O'Malley, produced two winners.
Again, two good winners too, two very good winners.
Rupes Pilgrim, like the man is, you're on about Liam Dowling too. To me, Dennis O'Malley, he's just he's real old school, and he's what he's achieved as well at Limerick track and further afield down through the years is remarkable. And I think Airfield Oscar won for him as well, and on the night. So he's always been such a synonymous with Limerick Greyhound track, old and new. So well done, Dennis. It was to get two winners on Ledger final night.
It's important on these evenings where local handlers have a touch as well. You know what I mean? It's great to see him winning. The Tuppy's Pilgrim, actually, she's a daughter of Ballymac Merlin, who we were talking about earlier on. The Airfield dog has terrific early speed. He's a Law Hill Blake. Tommy, all in all, there was some great racing at Limerick, and sometimes you see these nights where the standard of the card below the final sort of lets it down. That certainly wasn't the case at Limerick on Saturday night. Some unbelievable racing.
No, so even the consolation, which we didn't touch on, like Gert Killeen-Esther beating Ballyard Taylor and Neck, Sweepy Yard tucked in behind them. That was a cracking race as well. In fairness, there was good racing top to bottom in it, and getting back to Dublin, that Scooby Princess and Crafty Kokoro.
Scooby Prince.
Sorry, how good are both of those?
Yeah, two fast greyhounds. I wanted to touch on that. We were talking about the Kirby. Obviously these are all 20s. These could all go to the Kirby. I spoke to Jennifer last week. She sort of intimated that Scooby Prince looks a real Shelbourne Park dog. He does, but obviously the Kirby would be certainly to the forefront of their mind. 2 in a row was a non-runner, unfortunately. He's Pat Kiley certainly seemed to be edging towards Shelbourne rather than Limerick with him. But it'd be interesting to see how you can keep a good dog like that away from an €80,000 purse. We'll see. But Scooby Prince, this is going to sound strange. I was a little bit disappointed with him, believe it or not. I think the world of this greyhound. I really think the world of him. I thought the other night at boxes he was going to do 28 seconds. Just thought he might not have been stretching out as much as he had been the previous week. And I just wonder, maybe he's just feeling the effects of those 3 or 4 very fast runs. He's very young greyhound, and he's only in March 20, and he's had 4 races in 4 weeks now. I just wonder he's feeling the effects. But Crafty Kokoro, as you said, Tommy, she looks an absolute superstar in the making. Another flying lady to talk about for the next year or so.
Well, she went from 210, 219 back to 229 the other night. And in fairness, the sections of the winner, even though Scooby Prince led, they weren't as fast as he had produced in previous rounds. So I just think maybe things were just a little bit heavier than they had been, maybe as we progressed towards the end of the year.
And very cold. It was very cold in Shelbourne Park. And he still did the fastest time of the night, of course.
No, but these are very young dogs as well. So you might have been expecting 28 seconds dead or something reasonably, because he is that big a prospect. But and perhaps it slightly suited a really strong bitch like Crafty Kokoro. That was a phenomenal effort. If you think it's almost cartoon-like. A cartoon-like watching. If you just focus on the bitch in trap 1 and just watch the pace from halfway, it's absolutely ridiculous what she's doing. As you say, to a top prospect, a real top prospect in Scooby Prince. I mean, I came away thinking, wow, we've got two real stars. And we didn't have two in a row, which was a bit unfortunate because like he's a dog that probably would have put the pace to the race.
Yeah, we're speaking of homebreds. These are homebreds first and second as well, Alan. Scooby Prince, Druby Sydney out of Whiting's Gift. Whiting's Gift is is she a half sister to Scooby Princess's mother, or no? She's a daughter of Scooby Princess's mother, so very closely related to Scooby Prince or Scooby Princess. Very, very fast greyhound Scooby Prince for Jennifer O'Donnell and Crafty Kokoro, of course. The Dively family, they're producing stars down there for quite some time, and they've produced another one.
Yeah, I go back to Noelle had a lovely bitch a few years back. She was out of David Bale, the Australian dog. It's the same line. I can't think of her name, but she won. I think it was the Cork Oaks, and she was very fond of her. But unfortunately, I think she had an accident after. But it's great to see them coming again with, especially a bitch, to keep their line going back to Noel, Swiftco, and all that. And it's like, you know, the school, great. It goes back to Galway track as well, where they were schooling their dogs and using that. You know, it's a great track to get young dogs going. And again, they're always popping up. Every now and again, you see a Crafty or a Noel's popping up, whether in Clonmel or Cork or Tralee, and now Shelbourne in relation. And Kilkenny, they often take on go for the Dunray Stakes in Kilkenny as well. So yeah, well done to Noel and then Shane, Peter and Brian. It's great to see them now have something to really look forward to for next year. And she'll be there now with all Kirby, Oaks, etc. So we'll be shouting for her down here in Clare, like they're only up the road from us.
Yeah, they only recently lost Noelle Swiftco. And I actually wrote a piece about her because she was such a remarkable dam. She produced from each and every litter. And here it is, cocky or confident, a daughter of Noelle Swiftco producing Crafty Kokoro. It's great to see these dogs running so well, Tommy. And, you know, looking at this puppy race, you know, even Mature Reflection was a homebred too. You know, that seems to be the way forward. If you want a fast one, the best way to do it is to breed it.
Yeah. It's difficult to get them. You know, you need deep pockets if you're going to buy them. There's actually, you know what? That's one of the points that we don't tend to touch on because maybe it doesn't really affect the competition that we're dealing with. But there is a lot of money out there at the moment for greyhounds, for good greyhounds, and it has been shown everywhere. Actually, you were talking earlier on. Alan was talking a little bit earlier on about, and you were mentioning obviously Liam Dowling selling and all that. And there's a young man here in Cork who had a bitch, bought a Ballymac bitch, bred her, and has sold a pup out of her for huge money. Only in the last couple of weeks, unraced. Like there's as you say, it's in fairness to the Dowlings, it's spread, but it's showing that the back breeding coming from Ballymac Elliott is having an impact. It really is throughout the game, not just for themselves but for other people as well. So their impact is huge. The funny thing about the IGOBF, the National Puppy Stake, is that it was full of strong stayers, really. I know Scooby Prince led all, but he would be considered more of a stayer, wouldn't he, really, in terms of you wouldn't have thought him as a specialist early pacer.
Yeah, I think 550 now would be the limit of him. Do you know, that sort of way? But I think he's a strong mover, as you say. Yeah,
but you can be a 550 dog and not necessarily and be strong. I mean, what I would say is you wouldn't be thinking to match him against the best of the early pacers at the moment. Like if he need to step up to do that, but he certainly has the promise to make it as a top 550 dog next year. 2 in a row would have been the pace in the race. I'm pretty sure. Like, he had shown massive early pace in all the previous rounds. I mean, the sections, if we go back and we were forensic about it, I think the sections were just beginning to go back a little bit in the last while, the early sections, just in general. So I wouldn't read too much into it. If you're saying, oh, my dog was only doing 215 or 220, I think you can probably take 10 spots off that based on just the way the track has been over the last while.
Yeah, the section in Shelbourne Park has definitely slowed over the last 2 years. I think there's also different point or something that the clock is starting or something along those lines. Alan, will you be keeping an eye on the action this weekend at Shelbourne Park? Obviously, the Winter Racing Festival, some really, really exceptional racing to look forward to.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see the card. It'll be very, very interesting. Again, the creme de la creme at the Canine World take action. Is it on RPG TV next
It is
week?
Saturday night's action will be on Racing Post Television. Yeah.
The fire will be on, so we'll be watching. So, but going back to Saturday night in Shelbourne, I think it was a remarkable achievement for Droopy Sydney, having 5 out of the 6 finalists. Like, that's just again, we're on about breeding, but that is really it. That's a remarkable achievement too.
Yeah, what he's achieving as a stud dog is it's unbelievable stuff. Like, we're going back to the likes of, in more recent times, the likes of Top Honcho and dogs like that. We saw plenty of dominance from him, but what Droopy Sydney's doing at present is just unbelievable.
I mentioned it to a few lads here in Clare a few years ago. I said, you need to start using that dog, Droopy Sydney. I think he's going to be a real stud dog, because I was at a 40th birthday party one night above in Kildare, and I met a few lads from Waterford, and we were talking about stud dogs, etc. And they said one of the fastest dogs.
Sounds like a great night.
What a great night. I came from that because I really liked his Sire Duke Special. I just thought he was a really good dog too. So, and with the Westmeath Hawk in him as well from Droopy's Laramie. So it's and I said it to a few lads, and I said, "Sure, he did nothing," that type of thing. But look, it's all come to fruition now with the way he's breeding, and there'll be a lot like Droopy's Cash Out, Broadstrand, Bono. There's a lot of good young stud dogs coming there off him now, and there'll be more in the future. Obviously, we'll have the likes of Scooby Prince, etc. But it's great to see. A dog, he deserves a lot of credit. I know he's probably 11 or 12 now, and he's very popular. But again, I think that was a remarkable achievement for a stud dog to have 5 out of 6 finals.
Yeah, it's a remarkable story. This greyhound only had 1 race, Tommy.
Yeah, won by effectively a distance in Cork. It was a shame almost. Well, it mightn't prove to be a shame, but he could have been a serious talent, obviously. But like his damn line is just going back, and it's just royalty all the way through. It's just blue blood all the way back as far as you can go.
Yeah, his own damn Droopy's Laramie was a flying machine as well. She ran so well in the Juvenile Classic back in the early days. That's pretty much it, guys. Thanks very much, Alan. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're after seeing a great ledger. We're looking forward to a great winter racing festival. We're after talking about the final of the Puppy Stake on Saturday night gone. Some really top class greyhounds to look forward to in the next while. Just before we go, just to remind everyone that on Thursday evening we'll have a special Talking Dogs Live. Tommy is going to stick on his Pat Sharp wig, and we're going to be talking in person, believe it or not, from Shelbourne Park. The hallowed halls of Shelbourne Park will be in the Oak Suite, broadcasting live an hour-long preview of the Winter Racing Festival from 6:30 to 7:30. So join us then. Again, Alan, thanks so much. We'll see you again. The Exile Dub, I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah.
I think I'll leave the car at home. Just give you a heads up, okay? Well, that's it from us on this Monday morning. You're, of course, watching it on a Monday evening. Excuse me, the head's a bit fuzzy today. But that's it for us on Talking Dogs on a Monday. Again, we'll be on Talking Dogs Live on Thursday evening, 6:30 to 7:30. We'll see you then.